right, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Tatum Show. The trial is, essentially over. The state rests its case. I know there's a lot of conspiracies that are out there, and I want to kick every conspiratorial tooth out of the mouths of these fools. And so I'm going to open it up for Q&A. If you have questions about the trial, you have questions about anything, you can ask me the questions. I'm going to open up for Q&A for about 20, 30 minutes, and we're going to get through everything humanly possible associated with the Charlie Kirk's trial and more. Welcome to the Tatum Show.
I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity carried in your life.
Make sure that you go through life and find your purpose.
And we don't do this just to get a pat on the back. We do it because we came here to win.
And it starts with you understanding that God has a purpose for you.
This is the time to be more bold than ever before.
We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we should love one another. We should be focused on what's right for our country.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I want to first of all say thank you to all the members. I appreciate you guys supporting me in every way that you can. And I just want to give a quick shout out to all the people who were sane during this whole situation, and those of you who stuck by your boy and trusted that I was not leading you astray. It is absolutely unequivocally official that every conspiracy theory that have gained traction in the last 10 months it's all hogwash, and the evidence is out there. People are still lying to you. And there's one person in particular, I'm not going to say who it is. You know who it is. I'm very disappointed in the things that I'm seeing online because it is far from the truth. I think one thing that was shared with me just a minute ago was that somehow Lance Twiggs is a working for the state. I'm not going to get into it. I'm answering y'all's questions today. So just shoot away as many questions as you can. Super chats, I'll see it a lot quicker. All right, let's start with the first question. It says, today was insane or intense. How's Erica holding up? How are you holding up? Thank you for the question. Thank you for the concerns. Erica is doing as good as you could imagine. You know, I can still see the emotion in her eyes. You know, she still breaks down every now and again in the trial because some of that stuff is heavy. You know, every time an evidence comes up that depicts Charlie Kirk getting killed or shot or fragmented bullets or, you know, testimony from of that Charlie was shot, it's emotional, man. I'm telling you guys, it's hard to not cry. Like, I had to trick myself out of not crying today because I'm just looking at all the people who love Charlie and how heartbroken people are at the reality when Lance Twiggs was giving his testimony and reading the text messages from Tyler Robinson just explicitly saying that he killed Charlie Kirk and that the rifle did its job and all kind of stuff that's very hard to hear. But she's doing well. She's doing well. You know, every now and again she got a smile. And I think that's because she has the Lord on her side. She's optimistic. Do you feel vindicated seeing Lance Twiggs footage and text messages? Not really. Not really. I already knew. Like, y'all can go back and look at the first thing I said about this because I read the affidavit. Like, so let me just explain affidavit real quick. So when you arrest somebody and you go and book them in a jail, you have to write a probable cause statement as to what reason have you developed that leads you to arrest this person on what grounds. And you have to develop that. You have to articulate the elements of the crime. And so when they arrested Tyler Robinson initially, they wrote all the elements of each crime that they arrested him on and articulated the evidence that they reviewed under penalty of perjury, and they submitted it to the court. If you read that, all of these same confessions were in that. Just a little bit more. We actually heard it and saw it and saw the interview. That's the only thing that was different. I can say a part I feel vindicated. I do want to rub it in people's faces, but I don't know how fruitful it is. I just wish that people would now look back. For those who have common sense and who saw the truth and changed their mind, I want you to realize that your boy was right the whole time. I told you guys. I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm not just saying it just for the heck of it. Because Turning Point USA paying me or Israel paying me, I'm losing money. You know how much money I had to spend to come out here? Nobody paid me to come out here. Nobody gave me any money or assistance to be out here. I was invited out here. I'm blessed enough to have the means to fly myself out here. But I mean, I had to bring a whole team of people. flights, and all this other stuff. It probably spent probably $20,000 to come out here. Okay, let's get to the next question. Did Tyler Robinson or his defense team seem shook during all the Lance Twiggs evidence? Y'all got to think, they already knew the evidence that was going to be presented. So they weren't surprised when they saw it. They tried to obstruct for almost an entire day to prevent the testimony being publicized and being presented in a courtroom, because the judge had already accepted the fact that he's going to review it to determine probable cause. They were dying to not get this public, but obviously because of the victim representative, Erica Kirk's personal lawyer, he did an incredible job. The lawyer that would defend the media did an incredible job, and the prosecution changed their tactics to be a little more bold, and they did an incredible job at getting the judge to do what he ought to do in the first place, and that is allow the victims to and the public to watch the evidence, which is already in a public hearing. And everybody had their head down that was on the defense team, when they were watching this. I couldn't see Tyler Robinson's face, but I bet he wasn't happy looking at his boyfriend spill the beans on him. All right. Let's get to the super chat. Anthony, thanks so much for the super chat. Thank you for covering this, because I did fall for the conspiracies, but after watching your videos, everything makes sense. From Hawaii. What's that? Mahalo from Hawaii. Oh, thank you, from Hawaii. It's Hawaiian. Thank you, Anthony, my brother. I appreciate you, and I hate that sometimes I get superfluous and I start calling people names, because I got good folk that follow me that just fall for some of this stuff, and it's not that I think that you're a complete idiot for falling for this. You're a complete idiot if you are pushing it and you know better. But it is, when you have never been in law enforcement, it's not as simple. That's why people have to rely. Well, you don't have to rely, but it'd be in your best interest to listen to people who've been in law enforcement, that have done investigations, to give you some guidance and direction, and you can make the decision on your own. But when you haven't been in law enforcement and you don't know how investigations go, all of this could seem conspiratorial, right? Why did they pave over the thing? Well, when you don't know how evidence work and crime scenes work, it's reasonable to think, dang, that's crazy. Why they pave this thing over? When you listen to people talk about 30-06, and you're like, 30-06 will just blow right through people, which probably 99.9% of the time it'll blow through you like a piece of paper. But when you don't understand evidence as well as somebody who does these investigations, and you're not trained to be patient and let the evidence come out, it's easy to fall for conspiracy theories. But that's why your boy's here, to help you get past the conspiracies in good faith, because these other people are telling you lies and they're not doing it in good faith. What does inconclusive mean in regards to the bullet fragment? That just means they can't prove that it came from the gun, and they can't prove that it didn't come from the gun. Therefore, it's inconclusive. It's like if y'all watch football and, and they do a review and they go, is the pass complete or incomplete? And they go and review it, and they can't find or see enough evidence that will make it conclusive. So they go, the ruling is inconclusive, and then they go on with the play. But let me give you guys this. There is other elements of an investigation that they use to determine that bullet came from Tyler Robinson's gun. One is that Tyler Robinson said he shot Charlie with that gun. The caliber of the gun is the 30-06. So then there were rounds found in the gun, and rounds found that were connected with the gun, all having his DNA on it. So when you have a person that say, I used this gun to shoot Charlie Kirk and kill him, you find the gun, his DNA is on the gun, his DNA is on the rounds of the gun, and the caliber of gun is a 30-06, and then the class of caliber of bullet that was found in Charlie Kirk is a 30 class, which is the 30 caliber round. You can use deductive reasoning to say it is more than probable. It is beyond a reasonable doubt that bullet came from that gun, even though the forensic evidence is inconclusive. So with evidence that's inconclusive, if somebody say it don't match, that's not the full truth, because they can't determine if it matched or not because it was so fragmented. Because there's a possibility, and according to the woman that testified today, there were areas of the round that did match the striations, not the striations, but the tooling of the gun and some of the markers that when you fire it, it's got spin on it, and there's certain, scratches that it leave in layman's terms. And she had made mention that there were a lot of matches on the rounds that she test fired with the fragmented rounds in Charlie Kirk's body. But it wasn't enough, and it wasn't sufficient amount that she could make a conclusive statement. And then, all right, here's another thing. She did a certain testing that's not the most modern testing. There's 3D testing that wasn't done on the gun. There's a possibility they may actually do more testing that could cause a conclusive determination. But they're not there yet, but they don't even need that evidence because they have a confession from Tyler Robinson that he used that gun to shoot Charlie. All right, let's go to the next round. Did the judge seem frustrated today, or was it just me? No, he was frustrated today. He was frustrated every day. And he let me give him some advice. If the judge somehow watched my YouTube channel, you wouldn't be so frustrated if you nip it in the bud, man. Like when they're filibustering and going on and on about things that are not pertaining to a probable cause hearing, please just stop them and say, like he did today at the very end, where he say, look, I'm not going to let you ask any more questions. Like, you're going beyond the scope of what I'm even evaluating. If he'd have done that the second and third and fourth day, which he did at the end of today, he wouldn't have been frustrated because the court would have went in his favor. And it wouldn't have been so much of a rigmarole, and they would have been done on Wednesday, if you ask me. And I would have liked for the prosecution to object when the guy is literally doing an evidentiary hearing and a probable cause hearing. You say, objection, Your Honor. Your Honor has already made mention that this is going beyond the scope of probable cause. Your Honor, with all due respect, I think in fairness, you have made mention, and out of respect for the court, this is not respectful to the court, and this needs to stop. And object, Your Honor. That you just keep doing that instead of letting him go 45 minutes. Then he go, I got one more question. Another 45 minutes. I mean, everybody's want to pull their hair out and their teeth out at the same time. All right. Super Chat says from Jay says, I remember Candace Owens says that Charlie's wife was in on it. Has she since retracted a statement? I personally think that Candace Owens owes Erica Kirk an apology. If you're looking at evidence, it's no way that Erica Kirk, did I say that right? I don't even want to mix the names up. It's a long day. It's no way that Erica Kirk was involved. You know, like when you say someone is involved in a killing of their husband, you have to have some evidence that points you in that direction that is legitimized. Did you guys hear in the trial today any such thing that the defense is claiming that anybody other than Tyler Robinson did this? The defense is not even arguing if Tyler Robinson did it or not. They're not arguing. They're not. They didn't even cross-examine the witness that introduced Liz Twiggs' interview. They didn't even cross-examine that person. Not at all. They didn't poke holes in the fact that Tyler Robinson was on campus or not. They didn't do any of that. They're not even arguing this. It is clear. The evidence is in. People are living in la la land. And Erica Kirk had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's death. I see her cry and break down. I've talked to her on the phone when she cried. She's having a genuine reaction. She's there with his family. You think his mom and daddy in on it? They were all crying together. If it was so blatantly obvious that Erica Kirk was in on it, I think Mr. Kirk and Mrs. Kirk would have nothing to do with her. They wouldn't even be at the trial sitting next to her. Why would they? If they somehow had any inclination that their son was being betrayed by his wife. Anyway. All right. Super chat from Duncan. Thanks so much for super chat. Appreciate all you do. Pray for the Kirk family and you. Do you expect the judge to decide tomorrow on probable cause was met? It has been determined today that he's not going to make a decision until September the 1st. And it's a bunch of formalities. That man has everything he needs right now to develop, to establish probable cause. And they can go to trial tomorrow and it'll take one day. And the jury would deliberate for 35 seconds and it'll be a guilty verdict. That's how confident I am based on the evidence that has been presented. It doesn't seem that there's going to be any way out for the defense, But through formalities where we found out that they got to do memos and argue, and they got to do a statement and a rebuttal to statements, and they got to be thorough. But the judge pushed it out to September the 1st, which is disappointing, but I'm glad that it's thorough, and I'm confident that it's going to be established probable cause. All right, Candace Allen, thanks so much for the super chat. Candace Owens openly offered to assist and provide information to Tyler's defense team. She openly accused Erica of being involved. Do you condemn her? I do condemn what she said. I condemn what she said. I love Candace. Like I always say, I just don't understand why her direction on this is that way. I'm going to call Candace, especially after this trial. I gotta talk to her because, you know, we have a relationship. We have a friendship. And I don't want to see my friend just fall off a cliff over this, because I don't know if she's just getting bad information or what. Like, Erica Kirk is not involved. What was the other thing that the questioner said? It was something else that she said that Candace had said. Oh, offer to assist the defense. Now, in La La Land, and it's just me being honest, and if Candace is watching this, I love you, Candace, but like, we got to keep it real. In La La Land, you know, helping the defense makes sense. But in reality, helping the defense is helping Charlie Kirk killer get off. Like, I don't know if the intentions are there, but I don't get it. The boy killed Charlie Kirk. No matter what you think, he killed Charlie Kirk. And helping the defense team is trying to help the killer of Charlie Kirk, our friend, go free and justice not be served for Charlie Kirk. And I'll say this, everybody that's watching, why hasn't the defense used any information from Candace Owens and others? Because it's not real. I'm not trying to be mean or nothing. It's just not real. There's no material evidence to be had. If there was somehow a third-party person that somehow has done an investigation outside of evidence, because no one has access to forensic evidence other than the forensic investigators. So nobody can really make a conclusive statement about evidence other than the people at the lab. So if you don't have access to interviewing the people at the lab, you don't have access to seeing what their findings are, you don't have access to forensically interview people, and not just interview people, you don't even have if you don't have the training to properly interview somebody, you cannot claim that you've done an investigation. I don't care who you are. And with that being said, if the investigation from a third-party person was so diligent and so concrete and so damning and revealing, the defense team, who's getting paid millions of dollars to defend Tyler Robinson, would have called the third-party person and said, give us what you got. They hadn't made one argument based on any conspiracy theory. So now you're led to say that the defense team is in on it. That's the only thing that's left. The defense team have to be in on it because they're overlooking all this evidence too. I'm gonna call Candace maybe one of these days I'm gonna call her. I'm busy today, but I gotta talk to her because I'm not the person that get online and talk trash about anybody, especially not somebody that's my friend. So y'all got my opinions on it. You got my opinions on what I think of what Candace is saying. I'm gonna call her because after the evidence has been presented, there has to be some reconciliation with this. Josh, thanks so much for the super chat. Will they plead guilty to avoid the death penalty? I don't really know. I got to do my research on this, right? I do not think the prosecution is going to give them a plea deal. And I don't even know how that would happen in Utah, but I don't anticipate the prosecution is going to give him a plea deal. So it's not like there's any scenario that exists where he's going to say, hey, can I do a plea deal? I'll plead guilty if you do this in lieu of trial. I don't think the family's going to go for it, and I don't think the prosecution is going to go for it. But I think he can plead guilty. And then there may be a separate hearing for sentencing. And I think that's what the difference is going to be. I anticipate that Tyler Robinson is going to plead guilty. I'm not saying I know that with a lot of confidence because I have no idea what they think they got. But All the evidence that I've seen and the testimony that I've seen is like completely damning. And it would be in his best interest to just plead guilty, because maybe if he plead guilty and show some sympathy in the sentencing hearing, and they don't have to go through all this evidence and see how bad it really is, and they just have to do sentence in front of a judge, he might escape the death penalty. Because in the state of Utah, they rarely dish out the death penalty. And although this was a heinous crime, there is way more heinous crimes that have happened in Utah. And I'm talking about dismemberment. I'm talking about crimes against children. I'm talking about things like that people get life for, that they don't get the death penalty for. Although this was hurtful to us, people who love Charlie, this was a simple case of somebody getting mad at another person and shooting and killing them. That's pretty much what it boils down to. There was no dismemberment. There was no hiding a body in the somewhere, or rape involved, and some other gruesome circumstances, torture or something like that. So anyway, all right, another super chat from Brian. Thank you so much. Will the judge be the same as in the trial, or is he doing the pretty magistrate job? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it'll be the same judge. I think it will be the same judge. It's in Utah. I think that judge is going to do the whole trial. I have to look into that, so let me not speak outside of term. Brooke, thanks so much for the super chat. Why did the defense call the witness, then bash her like that? Defense called a witness. Oh, I see what you're saying. So I think that what you guys, what would be interesting to realize is that this is a probable cause hearing. This is not a regular trial. In a regular trial, the defense will only call people who are favorable to them. But since the defense don't really have a chance to put up a defense, they're really responding to the prosecution in the probable cause. They are going to bring a witness to destroy the witness, right? Because they don't have a chance to present a witness and cross-examine all this. This is literally the state presenting their case, and the defense is responding to the state's case. They're not putting on their own case, if that makes sense. And so the only opportunity they have to actually have a rebuttal is to bring a witness in, and they bring the witness in, and they're going to bash that witness who's actually in a trial will be a witness for the state, if that makes sense. So the only opportunity to go at somebody, and they had a chance to bring witnesses, they want to bring a witness so they can debunk what the state is saying, if that makes sense. In a trial, they're going to bring a witness that is going to confirm everything that they want to present. But this was a little different. All right, here's, I think, the last question. I mean, we got a few more questions left, or what? We'll do one more. All right, it says, why did you think Tucker is so quiet this week? Because he's a, let me not say, I want to say it so bad. Tucker Carlson is a B.I., and you know the rest of it. And I'll tell him to his face, nose to nose, I will tell Tucker Carlson he's a B. Because, and why do you say that, Brandon? Because I believed that Tucker was a true friend of Charlie. Come to find out, he wasn't. He ain't. He's a loser, because he should have had his ashy butt down here in Utah at this trial. He got all the money in the world. You don't do a daily show. You do interviews every now and again. You don't do a daily show. He could have brought his narrow behind out here and stood by Erica Kirk, but he didn't, because he's a wussy. And I'll tell him to his face that he's a wussy. He make me more upset than anybody else, because Charlie Kirk believed in Tucker Carlson. He admired Tucker Carlson. He let Tucker come to his on the stage. He took backlash. He lost donors over Tucker, and Tucker don't even have the nerve to show up here and support his family. He could at least be in town, but he's not, because he's a B. Oh, I'm getting heated. I'm getting heated, bruh. I hate fake people. Tucker, you was not Charlie's friend. Even if you didn't speak on this case, which is how in the could you not? Why are you not supporting Erica Kirk? Why are you not at least standing by her? Why you don't at least tweet on her behalf? Now that the evidence has come out, why are you not coming out and saying, think about this. You were really so much of Charlie's friend. Why are you not have Eric on your show? Why? You don't want to have Eric on your show. Why are you not down here in Utah Don Jr. came down here in Utah. You can't come down here at least one day on trial and sit there and listen to the trial because Charlie was your friend. You know, these people are cowards, and they're all getting exposed. And I hope y'all hold their feet to the fire. And I'm going to say the same thing. As much as the crazy stuff that I think that Candace is saying, if Candace were to get killed and assassinated, and you know it's different because she's a girl and her husband can hold his own, he's a man. But I would never in my life look at her and share her text message to y'all. I would never in my life go after George, her husband. I just wouldn't do it. I don't care if he's wrong. That's Candace's husband. That's like they get a pass unless he do something criminal. But like he get a pass. I know people brought up the fact that he had a DUI and all of that stuff. If that came out, I ain't got nothing to say about it. People that said all kind of stuff about her husband. I'm not saying I ain't in it. I had a person who I knew just recently got into some crazy stuff with his wife. Am I making a video about it? No, I'm not making a video about it. I'm not doing that. You my friend. And then my friend would, I just don't get it, man. Like let me just do it like this, because I like Candace because Candace is a close friend to me, just like I feel like Charlie was. Let's not say Candace. Let's say if her husband was something happened to her husband, I would be by her side every step of the way. Anybody say anything about her in a conspiratorial way, I would defend her. I just would. I would not share a text message that her husband sent me because me and George have talked plenty of times. I just wouldn't do it. I'm like, in my mind, I'm with you right or wrong. I don't believe in switching. And I don't understand how somebody can I got to say this. I got to get this out my chest and I'm going to be ready to go. I knew Charlie in real life. I remember the first day I met Charlie. I genuinely liked and admired him. I didn't agree with everything he said. I agree with 99% of it, but there were some things that I disagreed with him on. You know, but I looked him in his eyes and said, bro, you know, I got your back. When people call him Charlie racist, I got your back, bro. He sent me tweets. Hey, man, can you tweet this out? And it was always something to, you know, kind of help him out on some stuff because people were coming after him. Bro, I got your back. If it wasn't for Charlie Kirk, I believe there would be no Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens. We got our start through Turning Point USA. A lot of people got to start through Turning Point USA. I did okay, but I was on the map when I went to Turning Point. And I was speaking all around the country, and I was able to learn how to speak and get my voice and do all this other stuff. And Charlie Kirk built that. And when I looked that man in his eyes and said, I got your back, I meant it. And now that he's dead, how could I live with myself if I didn't fulfill what I told him? Unless you a lame, fake friend. You know, I saw him before he died. He said, B, you're going to talk about Epstein. I never forget he said this to me. You're going to talk about Epstein. I said, you know I'm going in. He like, go all in, bro. You got my permission. Go all in. And that's the kind of relationship that we had. I wasn't a person that be up in his calling him on the phone every day, but we had mutual respect for one another to where if Charlie Kirk asked me for anything, I have never said no to Charlie Kirk. Not one time. Why? Because I respected him that much. Very first speaking engagement I ever did in my life, there was I guess the second speaking engagement I ever did, but one of the biggest ones that I've ever done in my life was in Newport Beach. Charlie called me. I'm in LA. Oh no, I'm in Florida or something. No, I was in Arizona at this time. There's another event that I did for him. He go, hey B, I can't make it to this donor event. Can you please go to Newport at this donor event? Dude, I had never wrote a speech before in my life. I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't know what to say. I'd never done a donor event. I'm the keynote speaker. I was terrified out of my mind. But I said, I got you, bro. Whatever you need, I'm there. I remember I was in LA. Charlie couldn't go to Fisher Island. It was a donor and fundraising event. He said, B, he called me the night before. Hey, man, I can't make it to Fisher Island. It's a donor event, Brandon. Can you please go in my place, bro? I got you. I get on a flight from L.A. to Florida the next day. Had to get on a little boat to get to Fisher Island. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. I have had no experience fundraising. It's not my organization. But I said, bro, I got your back. Whatever you need. I remember the first day. What was this scenario? Was it Charlie's first show? It was something like that where I filled in for Charlie on his show, on a radio show. It was like 2 or 3 hours or something like that. I had never been on a radio day in my life. Yeah, it was. What happened was my show was going to start 2 days later, and I think I did 2 days of Charlie's show because he couldn't do it. And so he said, Brandon, man, please, can you fill in for me on my show? Done. I had never done radio before. Y'all know I can't read, so I'm trying to read these ads and all this other stuff. And I said, I ain't never going to say no to my brother, man. I'll fight one of y'all over Charlie. So what happened when he dies? What do you think Brandon's doing? I support his wife. I support Turning Point USA. And that's just the kind of man I am. My last question, I'm out of here. Do you think that this new evidence will stop most of the grifters? No. These sorry mother, will grift to the end. And y'all will know them by their fruits. If somebody's I hope that God, that anybody watching me, this is your barometer. If somebody's telling you Tyler Robinson wasn't on campus, you cannot believe that person. They either didn't watch the trial, which is a negligence, especially as being a journalist, or they're evil and they just spewing lies. One of the two. If somebody were to say without evidence that this is a Fed's job or something, that person is lying to you. That person is not. I cannot trust what they say. I think there's some rumors out here that it was somebody that posted something that said that Lance Twiggs, they only had screenshots. They said they only had screenshots of Lance Twiggs' phone. That was the only evidence. They didn't even collect his phone. They didn't do a due diligence. You cannot trust a person. You cannot trust that person's testimony, because in the courtroom they extracted all the data from his cell phone using a software system, and they mentioned it in court, testimony under oath. They used a screenshot to show us in court, but they downloaded his whole phone. That's how they found the letter, because Tyler Robinson burned the letter. How they found it was they extracted the deletion from his phone, and that's how they populated it. Because you can't delete stuff off your phone, because once they extract it, it's going to pull up everything you ever had on your phone. So a person telling you that lied to you. There's another lie that came out the other day. Oh, they didn't get Tyler Robinson on the roof because the body-worn camera died. What? The body-worn camera had nothing. The camera dying had nothing to do with him being on the roof. The body-worn camera was on a police officer that was doing crime scene tape that had nothing to do with the shooting. The UVU had the footage of him jumping off the roof and everything. You can't believe what they say. The height differential. Somebody was saying, oh, he's too tall to beat Tyler Robinson. If you look at the video of him in the walkway going up the stairs, he walked right next to an average-sized woman, and they were almost the same height. There is no discrepancy in height. And I'm going to finish it with this, and then we're going to go. This is the most open and shut case that I have ever seen. You have a crime committed. You have shoe impressions, DNA, a weapon recovered. You have all of this. But they haven't quite found a suspect. They did not broadcast anybody's name. They did not really know who this person was that was a person of interest. A person who lives 200 miles away decided to take responsibility and turn himself in. Don't you think that's enough? Within reason to say Tyler Robinson must have did it. His family turned him in. His family recognized him on surveillance. He got messages to his lover who testified under oath, penalty of perjury or penalty of a crime if he lied, testified to the fact that these are real text messages from Tyler Robinson, admitting to the crime, admitting he was on campus, admitting he killed Charlie Kirk, admitting he used the gun that was recovered, admitting that in some part he etched into the bullets, admitted that he tried to get away with it, admitted that he wanted to escape, admitted that he was going to turn himself in. What other evidence do you need? Open and shut case. And if anybody tell you anything different, you have to be skeptical of whether or not that person is trustworthy in their investigation. Anyway, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm glad y'all follow me because y'all are informed. I'm impartial about these things, and I want to make sure you have the truth because I have no buy-in. And I'll just say this last thing. Nobody paid me to come out here. I spent probably $20,000 out here. Nobody paid me to support Israel. I didn't lost money supporting Israel. I lost money. I'm paying them $7,000 a show. You know how much money I lost? Y'all talking about they paying me. I didn't do speaking engagement and I'm gonna say this and I'm shut up. This is why when somebody say Charlie Kirk turned down $150 million from Benjamin Netanyahu, you lying your off. You can never accuse Jewish people of giving money away. You just lying. Because I don't know how many events, and I ain't never been paid my honorarium at an event. Remember, I done a few of them for free. I don't want to hear y'all say nothing about nobody getting no money from no Jews. I love my Jewish people. Hey, y'all got to keep it real. That's probably how some people stay rich, man. They nickel and dime you, boy. But I love y'all anyway. I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out.